Hello and welcome to Kedrick Farms. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Precision Farming DLC and specifically diving into soil samples. We're also going to take a look at not only how to do soil samples, but how to extend the sample radius of the soil sampler and look at a couple of console commands that you can use to automatically uncover the soil map if you're not interested in taking soil samples. So let's get started. I chose Flint Hills to do this series on. We will be taking a look at other precision farming features and functions soon, so stay tuned for those videos if you find this video helpful. But this is the first video, so we're going to go ahead and buy a small piece of land here. You can see that you get a lot of information here in precision farming for different things, but we're going to take a little bit of a look at that later. And in order to get started with soil sampling, the first thing we need to do is come into the shop here and buy the soil sampling equipment. And so you're going to find that in your tools category on the store under miscellaneous. And we're going to come over here and get this Asara Scout. There are no options for this, so you just need to pick it up. We're going to go ahead and buy it. With this Asara Scout, since it is a 3-point device, you can really use any piece of equipment that has a 3-point on it, but we're going to go ahead and use the John Deere Gator that came with the Precision DLC that has a 3-point attachment added to it. Now, I've gone ahead and set up the store deliveries mod so that I don't have to track down this equipment and drive it over here, just to speed things up. So once you've attached this piece of equipment, and if you are using manual attach, don't forget to do your hoses. We're going to run this over to the field that we just purchased and take some soil samples. Now, I have chosen to run on a map with seasons as well as a 4x map just to make sure that everything works the way that I would anticipate that working. Now, the first thing that you're going to want to do is unfold the soil sampling unit. And you'll notice as soon as I unfold the soil sampling unit, my mini map changes slightly to show the radius that the soil sampler is going to operate in, as well as to zoom in on the mini map a little bit. Once you've unfolded it, you can lift and lower the soil sampling unit, but regardless of its current height, if you press the B key, you will take a soil sample, and it takes just a minute, but you can see in the F1 menu now that it says soil samples taken 1. And then on the mini map, it also turns this reddish color to indicate the area that we've taken a soil sample in. Once you've taken a soil sample, you just need to move a bit further down the field and do it again. And repeat that until you've taken soil samples in the entire section of the field that you want to get a soil map for. So I'm going to go down this line and take a few more soil samples real quick, and then we'll move on to the next step. So you can see that it took a couple of minutes here and 6 soil samples just to work our way down the right-hand side of this field. We'd probably need to do, maybe 10 more soil samples to finish covering this field. And this is a 6.8 hectare field. If we come into the main view here, you can see it's a 23 acre field. This isn't a giant field. I mean, this is a larger map, a 4x map, so it is a decent sized field by farm sim standards. But as you can see, this is going to take a while. So we're going to stop taking samples here and come back to finishing the samples in this field in a little bit. But once you've taken a number of samples, if you bring up your F1 menu, you'll notice that you can press Y to send the soil samples that you've taken for analysis. And so pressing Y will pop up this dialog, letting you know that the soil samples have been sent to the laboratory for analysis. If you go to the menu and click on this second tab for precision farming, you'll notice that our soil samples have already returned for analysis. It only takes a minute or two for soil samples to come back and display their soil type on the precision farming map. And so you can see here, if we zoom in a little bit, that running down this field, I've got 3 types of soil in the different sections of this field, ranging from sandy loam to silty clay. And I'll do a video soon talking about the different soil types and their effects on yield and fertilizer. But essentially what I wanted to show here is that you can take soil samples and send those off to the lab and get the results without having to do the full field. So let's talk about how we can extend the radius of the soil sampler. Because if you're like me and you like to play on large American maps, spending 15-20 minutes taking soil samples in field 5 for a 20-acre field is nice. But if I want to come down here and buy a field like, say, 21, which is 333 acres, taking these little tiny soil samples every few feet, that's going to take me hours to take soil samples in that field and to see the entire soil map. And we just don't have that kind of time to spend taking soil samples. It's a cool mechanic, but I really want to get into the farming. So in order to increase the radius of the soil sampler, we're going to jump out into our mod folder and find the FS19 Precision Farming mod. And as always, when we're going to make changes to the files in the mod, we're going to right click on that and do an extract all. And we're just going to put that mod in the same folder, but in an unzipped form. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete the zip file, since we'll replace it once we're done making modifications. And if I drill into precision farming, there's a lot of interesting things in here. In case you didn't know, for modders, there's a PDF file here with a lot of good information on how to make changes to maps to support precision farming, which I'll be covering in an upcoming tutorial. But for today, we're going to drill into this vehicles folder, and we're going to go into this Fritzmere folder, which is where the Isara Scout is located. And once you go into the Isara Scout folder, you'll notice that we have this Isara Scout.xml file. And we're going to go ahead and open that in a text editor. And I like to use Notepad++ to do my XML text editing, but really you can use any text editor. Notepad works just fine, especially for this change, because all we need to do is scroll down in this file until we find the section called Soil Sampler. Once we've found the Soil Sampler section, all we need to do to increase the sampling radius is change this attribute for radius to something larger. Now, I don't want to be too unrealistic when I'm doing things, and so I like to move things up slowly to some degree usually. I have found that doubling the radius of this from 32.5 to 65 felt like a good change. We're still not going to probably do all of field 21 on Flint Hills with this, but for the smaller fields, this was a pretty big increase to the radius. So let's just go ahead and jump back into the game with that change made and see how we like that. Now, when you're editing mods, like I'm doing here, you don't need to add them back to a zip file. If you're just playing single player and you're in the process of editing and testing, you can leave this in a folder and Farming Simulator will actually pick this up as a mod. Just make sure that when you're done making all of the changes to the mod, that you come back into here, you select all the files, right click, send to compress zip file, and that's going to recreate your mod. You can name this back to FS19 _ precision farming and drop that back up in that parent folder by highlighting it, pressing Control X and Control V to cut and paste it, and then just delete this folder. So we're back here in the game, and if we jump into our Gator with the soil sampler attached, If you look down at the mini-map, you can already see that the sampling radius has greatly improved over what we were doing before. And so, now on this 20-acre field, I'm going to be able to drive out here and take a soil sample, and that's going to be a huge chunk of the field compared to what we were doing previously. And so that's really, even though we doubled the radius, that's really going to be more like 4 times the amount of samples being taken as we move along here. And so we're able to, really tackle this field now in just, 3-4 samples, which for such a large field is actually not that bad. And so if you're like me and you want to do a little bit of this yourself, I kind of recommend doubling the radius like I've done to give you kind of the feel of coming out here and doing it without completely bypassing the mechanic. You cannot, however, actually drive into a field that you don't own and take a soil sample. You do need to own the land in order to take a soil sample. So this is all well and good. But let's say that you're not terribly interested in the soil sampling mechanics of the Precision Farming Pack, but you still want to play with all of the other benefits of it. Well, luckily, there are 2 console commands that you can use in order to uncover the soil map that you see here in the Precision Farming menu. And so the first one that I'm going to show is going to uncover all of the area for just a specific field. And so we've been in field 5 here, but we haven't finished it yet. And so we're going to use that as our example. So if you bring up the console by pressing the tilde key twice, you're going to be able to bring up the console and then enable the text area to type in here. And we're going to use a command called paUncoverField. And it's case sensitive, so you do need to capitalize the U and the F in this command. And then you're going to push space, and then we're going to say field 5. And so this command, when I execute it, you'll notice that in our mini-map, we've already uncovered the field. So I'm going to push tilde to close the console again. And if we bring up our map, I've now got all of field 5 uncovered. Now, this command will work for any field, even if you don't own it. So I'm going to push up here and change this to field 4. And you can see now, if I go back into the map, I've got the soil sample map for field 4 uncovered as well. And so this is really handy if there's a specific field that you have that you don't feel like doing this on, or you only want to do this on fields that you own. There's another command available if you really just want to uncover the soil map for the entire map. And so that command is paUncoverAll. It does help when you type the command correctly. So as I said, the command is paUncoverAll. You can see I typed paUncoverAll, which obviously won't work. So with the paUncoverAll command run, if we bring up the soil sample map, you can see that I've got all of the fields uncovered here for the soil samples. There are sections on the map that aren't set up as fields, so they don't show a soil sample at this point, but if you were to turn this into a field, those areas would be represented as a soil map. And so with that, this has been a quick introduction to the Precision Farming DLC and how to take soil samples. In future videos, we'll be talking about the effects of the different soil types and how all of the fertilizer, pH and nitrogen effects work, as well as all of the other functions of precision farming. If you have found this video helpful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel for additional videos in the future. If there's something specific that you'd like to see or something to do with the content covered in this video that I didn't cover, please leave a comment below. I do try to read and respond to all the comments that I get. That's all for today. Kedirk out.